What's up, world? I'm Cameron McKinney, and this is Pop Culture Spotlight, a podcast on the movie Masters of the Universe. Here's a quick synopsis. When Skeletor takes over Eternos, a city on the planet Eternia, a young prince named Adam is sent to Earth and in the years since has lost the whereabouts of the Sword of Power. The film stars Nicholas Galitzine, Camilla Mendes, Idris Elba, Alison Brie, Morena Baccarin, and Jared Leto. Standout performances. I don't mean this as a diss, even though it sounds like one. Nicholas Galitzine has so far starred in the exact kind of movies he should star in. The Idea of You, The Sheep Detectives, and Masters of the Universe. Free movies that are sold to you via a premise. He, at least at this point in his early film career, is not someone I could see in a super dramatic movie. And who knows, that could change over time. I think he's good in these kinds of movies. He's enjoyable enough playing a hero like Adam. There's a real goofy quality to him, which I do enjoy. That, of course, is what's so interesting about following an acting career. I mean, these actors start out as something and eventually evolve into something else. Galitzine will next star in the movies The Mosquito Bowl with Bill Skarsgård and A Matter of Time with Ben Stiller. Camilla Mendes is best known for playing Veronica on the popular teen show Riverdale, an adaptation of the Archie comics that is all over the place, to say the least. In Masters of the Universe, the actress plays Tila, and I found her to be a very viable action star. Do I completely buy her chemistry with Galitzine? No, but this movie doesn't really need romance. Also, if you haven't, I really recommend you watch Mendes in Palm Springs and Do Revenge. Two great movies. I don't think we talk nearly enough about how good Idris Elba is in these kinds of big studio movies. His resume includes Thor in 2011. He's played the Marvel character of Heimdall in 6 total films, Prometheus in 2012, Pacific Rim in 2013, Star Trek Beyond in 2016, Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw in 2019, and The Suicide Squad in 2021. He can play a heroic character or the big bad. An actor of his caliber elevates these kinds of movies. In Masters of the Universe, Elba plays Duncan, a once great general who has fallen on tough times. In the hands of a lesser actor, his whole arc would get old fast, but because it's Elba, you want to spend time with this character. And I know there are a lot of people out there who want Idris Elba to be the lead of his own franchise, specifically Bond. That's never going to happen. But yes, I agree. Idris Elba should be given more leading roles in franchise films. He's done enough work as a great supporting actor in these blockbusters. Give him the lead of his own giant blockbuster immediately, please. I've long been a fan of Alison Brie. She's been great on television, Community, and Glow, and in movies like The Little Hours, The Disaster Artist, Promising Young Women, The Rental, and Happiest Season. In Masters of the Universe, Brie plays Evil Lynn, and she perfectly commits and gives such a fun performance as the sidekick to a villain. She fully understands what kind of movie she is in and commits to a very specific tone that she is perfectly well suited for. And finally, I don't want to talk about the actor who plays Skeletor due to recent events, but what I will say is this is the kind of villain you want in a movie like this. My big issue with Marvel lately has been either their lack of interest in one or that none of them are ever evil for evil's sakes. It's movies, guys. It's okay to have one of these kinds of bad guys every once in a while, and Masters of the Universe offers that with Skeletor. No, it's not a movie that's rewriting the playbook. It's pretty basic. Here is the hero, here is the villain. But guess what? I still find that basic premise to be very enjoyable. The director of Masters of the Universe is Travis Knight, who is a rare filmmaker who is capable of making both live action and animated films. His work on the latter includes one of my favorite animated films, Kubo and the Two Strings, and for live action, he's made my second favorite Transformers movie with Bumblebee. I think Haley Steinfeld is so winning in that movie. What I really like about that movie, and the same goes for Masters of the Universe, is they are so sincere. They are not cynical or witty like Deadpool. Both of those movies, Bumblebee and Masters of the Universe, feel like they were made by a fan of the original source material, not by someone just using existing IP to make a movie that gets a lot of eyeballs on it. Knight has another animated film on the way, Wildwood, with a star-studded voice cast that includes Carey Mulligan, Mahershala Ali, Awkwafina, and Angela Bassett. I mean, I have absolutely no idea if Travis Knight is interested in directing a Marvel movie, but they should definitely be interested in him as a filmmaker. I really do think it's a lost art to make good studio movies. I think that studio movies that are bad are mostly due because of a lack of direction with them. They are usually made by somebody who is not interested in the movie they are making, and the ones that work are by people who care about the characters and the stories they are telling. And Travis Knight definitely cares about Masters of the Universe. This is also something that needs to be said on this podcast. I actually liked the look of this movie, which is not something I say about most studio movies. I think most studio movies are filled with bad CGI that make you, the audience, go, this is not something I want to be looking at for a long period of time. And thankfully, that is not the case with Masters of the Universe. I think the world building is really impressive, and I don't think this is an easy world to create, because a lot of this can feel silly to audiences. I do relate this back to Thor. I mean, there's the connection because both of them have Idris Elba in them. But at times, the character of He-Man can feel really silly, and the same goes for Thor. And that's something I really loved about the original Thor, which I think has become a super underrated movie in the Marvel canon. If that movie doesn't work, I don't know what the Marvel Cinematic Universe would look like today. And by no means do I think Masters of the Universe is as good as the first Thor movie, but I do think it is very effective in what it's doing. It's making you care about these characters. And the lore about Eternia is just in the background for, let's say, mega fans of Masters of the Universe. I guess what I'm trying to say is I think this movie is the right level of nerdy, and I think that's the best thing this movie has going for it, is that you do not need to be a super fan of Masters of the Universe to enjoy this movie or to find it entertaining. And like I was saying earlier, I love how sincere this movie is. But the other thing is, this is not a movie that takes itself too seriously. It knows how silly all of this is at times. It doesn't make it feel like this is a movie that is so important you need to be paying so much attention to it. And I like that in a movie. I like watching a movie that doesn't feel like there's a lot of weight to it. It's just a fun popcorn flick. This is a movie that knows what it is, and it's okay with what it is. And maybe after seeing this, some of you will disagree with this. I think this is the best outcome for a movie like this. I think this is the best version of Masters of the Universe we're ever going to get. This is coming from somebody who doesn't have a history with this franchise. I haven't watched any of the cartoons in great depth. I don't love these characters. I just really enjoyed this movie for what it is, which is a good time. It's nothing more, it's nothing less. But I think more studio movies should try to go for something like this. This is way more accessible than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to watch something and be like, I have no idea what these characters are fighting for. But thankfully, the makers of this movie simplified things to a point where I could enjoy the movie I was watching. I would never in a million years compare the quality of this movie to what Denis Villeneuve has done with the Dune franchise. But I think the biggest reason why that franchise is resonating with people because he has simplified what Dune is. I mean, so many people said that Dune was unadaptable as a book to a movie, that was never going to successfully happen. I mean, come on, you watch David Lynch's version and it's so hard to comprehend and understand and to fully grasp and grab onto. Like, I can enjoy aspects of his Dune, but I have no idea what exactly I'm watching. But then you watch Denis Villeneuve's 2 Dune movies and you're like, oh, this is Timothée Chalamet. He is the hero. And in Dune Part 2, Austin Butler is blatantly the psychotic villain. Those movies are somewhat easy to understand. Yes, there are still complicated elements in Dune and Dune Part 2. But Denis Villeneuve has brilliantly made it simple enough to understand and enjoy. Now, getting back to Masters of the Universe, I don't know who likes this movie more. Fans of the original material and movie, or new fans like myself who are not that aware of these characters. I mean, I really liked what I saw in Masters of the Universe. I would definitely be in for a sequel that probably is never going to happen. But maybe fans of this franchise don't like this product. Again, I have absolutely no idea. Maybe die-hard Masters of the Universe fans want absolutely nothing to do with this movie. Maybe they don't like the simplification of these characters. Maybe they want more complicated world building. That's a difficult thing of making this kind of movie, is trying to please both sides. I mean, you're trying to please the people who have been fans for decades, but at the same time, you're trying to bring in new people and trying to turn this into a viable franchise moving forward. And that gets me to the box office. This is one of those movies that did not do well. Masters of the Universe made $114 million on a $170 million budget, and a lot of people were not shocked by this outcome. It's been done before, and we are not living at the height of this franchise's popularity. Having said that, it is still a bummer when a movie I think is good does worse than a lot of movies that I think are bad. People have compared it to the recent Dungeons and Dragons movie, a movie that was good and attempted to be the first of many more movies. Sadly, Masters of the Universe, this iteration of it, is going to end here. Travis Knight is not going to be given an opportunity to make a sequel to this movie. There's a couple of reasons why this flopped at the box office. The biggest reason being, I don't think enough people wanted this movie to exist. I don't think there was real hype surrounding this movie. And one could argue this movie exists in the first place because Mattel had a great success with a Barbie. So they thought, let's bring back Masters of the Universe. This too could be a giant hit. And that was absolutely not the case. And I believe the other big reason is this movie has a lack of star power. Nicholas Galitzine is in the beginning stages of potentially being a star. People do not go to the movies to see this guy act. Yes, the movie has Idris Elba. The movie has Alison Brie. These are well-known names, but they don't necessarily sell movies themselves either. And I like Camilla Mendes. She is popular. She was on Riverdale, but she doesn't have a track record of selling movies that people watch. Like, there just wasn't enough recognizable names in the supporting cast of this movie. I think this movie definitely could have used more star power. And that's tough because they really did pick the right actors to be in this movie. I mean, they are right for their roles. The movie is good because of these actors. And the other thing that really pains me to say is that if this movie had a bigger name director, now I absolutely believe Travis Knight was the right choice. He is a very good director. He is a director I have followed because I know him, but he is not Steven Spielberg. He is not Christopher Nolan. At this point, he's not even Michael Bay. Like, he's just not a director that gets people to talk about the movies that he makes. Like, you have to really be into movies to know the name Travis Knight. Now, I think he should be a bigger deal, but he isn't. When you hear his name, you don't go, I need to see that guy's next movie, unless you are a huge fan of movies. I think there are some people out there that believe a Barbie movie was going to be a hit no matter what. I am not one of those people. I think that movie was a hit because of the hype around it, because it was made by Greta Gerwig. That is why that movie was such a big moment, because we all love the films of Greta Gerwig. She is a big name director. She sold that movie because we wanted to see Greta Gerwig's version of Barbie. It's like going all the way back to Batman with Tim Burton. People wanted to see that movie because it was made by Tim Burton. A director was the selling point. Having said that, Masters of the Universe isn't like Batman. It doesn't attract the likes of Tim Burton and Christopher Nolan. You have to be a mega fan to want to make this movie. In the year 2026, I just think it was impossible for this movie to ever be a hit and also be a good movie. I do think this was the absolute best version of Masters of the Universe. I liked almost everything about this movie. I liked its simplicity. I liked the tone. I liked the look of the movie. I am sad we are not going to get a sequel moving forward, but in the years to come, I will definitely watch this movie again. I did not think I would like Masters of the Universe as much as I did, but here we are. And I think most people who ignored this movie in movie theaters will end up enjoying this film. I will always root for and defend well-made studio movies, and that is exactly what Masters of the Universe is, a well-made studio film. Thanks for listening to this edition of Pop Culture Spotlight. I'm Cameron McKinney, and there'll be a new episode of the podcast every Thursday on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I highly recommend you check out Masters of the Universe. Next week on the podcast, I'm talking about Spider-Man Brand New Day, directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, starring Tom Holland, Zendaya, John Bernthal, Sadie Sink, and Mark Ruffalo. So tune into that and please rate, review, and subscribe.